Welcome to our next episode of Limitless edX. This is Andrea Harris from Bloom at Home Learning, and we have,
Jeanette Easton, founder of Refound Education.
and we're so happy that you are joining us. This podcast, we are talking about the gig economy meets education, a revolution in how we teach and learn. Jeanette, do you want to go more in depth into what we're chatting about today?
Yes, so the gig economy has been picking up for a long time. So essentially, it is temporary, contractual, short-term work. And people have been doing it forever, but it's really kind of blowing up, especially because a lot of companies don't want to pay into pensions anymore. They don't want to pay benefits. They don't want to, and freelance work or short-term work is a solution for those companies to cut costs. And but there's also, it might sound bad, but there are actual benefits to this kind of model moving forward because of its flexibility. How do you feel about that? I know you've kind of embraced the flexible work schedule. What do you think?
Well, I was going to say that is the best part of leaving a system that where you have the regular paycheck, but you're also bound to the contract of when you have holidays, when you take time off, and it does offer much more freedom. So I would think that right now in society, you see a shift from, not wanting to be controlled all the time in every aspect, whether that's little kids in school or, I mean, if you are in your 50s and you spent a better part of your career in a workplace that, wanted you to do certain things like mandate certain medical procedures that you didn't want. So I think people are seeing a lot of the benefits of being your own boss, right? And the gig economy offers, I think, a lot of younger people the flexibility of being able to travel when they want, the flexibility of being able to, I know many work in other countries as well, like, with the digital nomads, they have a lot of online businesses where they can go for extended periods into different areas and just continue to work. So it offers that flexibility, it offers freedom. I would say it's a certain comfort level of a lot of people, but in terms of where we are heading in society, I think definitely gone are the days where you are hired for something right out of college or university and you stick with that same company for the next 35, 40 years or 30 years, however long, and you retire from that. I don't think that we are seeing that trend continue.
Yeah, that sounds more like a prison sentence. Maybe like we're creator types, and I know there's so many people like us that are those creator types. And honestly, the opportunities that can come from this are really spectacular because essentially what a company can offer you, yes, in terms of health benefits or pensions, you can also pay into those yourself, and have that flexibility. So some educators, for example, we still pay for our own health benefits through our paychecks. So it's not a free ride by any means. But now educators have different kind of school schedules. Some education programs will run 3 days a week, and some other days the educator does maybe some professional development courses for other educators. Or I heard one person, they collaborate with the jungle school, and so they travel and they take that nomad life to, or that snowbird life to the next level, and they just kind of move freely, and they have a group of families that align with that, and they have the financial freedom to do that. And even though it is limited access to low economic children of lower economic status, it would be cool in the future if we can work towards, people having more opportunities to go on these learning adventures. Or I guess there's some religious groups that do missions and that kind of thing. And it has a similar concept where you're going into the world and you are learning about different cultures and with different ways of life. And there's so much learning enrichment in those spaces. And yeah, we can really tailor things to our lifestyle and the phase our kids are in and how much we want to take on with different opportunities for passive income streams.
I think that's a great point. In terms of what I've seen too in gig economy is it's really, really popular for especially teachers in the United States because they get paid far less. I mean, they don't get paid great anywhere, but in terms of Canada, they are at a higher scale for the country's currency, if that makes sense. But I know in the States, a lot of teachers in Canada do as well, where they tutor on the side. Tutoring is becoming much more popular. It's exploding with school not meeting kids' needs. So if there are students that are very, very driven, or even the ones that are slipping sadly through the cracks and not achieving, they're not able to learn to read, or they're really, I won't say they're not able to, but they're finding it challenging to learn to read, or they're finding math challenging, or they just need an extra boost. Tutoring offers a great benefit to a lot of families. And in terms of that benefit to teachers, they can supplement their income. I will say that I wish I did this like 15 years ago in my career, but there's websites like I'm sure a lot of teachers have heard of Teachers Pay Teachers, but there's a lot of web-based um, websites where people can go and share their resources that they create and then sell them. And honestly, there's some fabulous teachers that are really great at digital creating and are selling their products too. And that really helps supplement things. But in terms of their mobility and they really just need to build up their website and build up their what they are offering, and it becomes self-sufficient at some point, and they can surpass the income they receive as a teacher. So why wouldn't you when you have the time freedom to do that type of thing? So what I was saying was 15 years ago, I wish I had have started my own, because I thought about it and I was like, oh, that's so much work. But in reality, that would have set me up for a much better position the when COVID hit.
And it always seems harder than it actually is.
Mhm.
And I am going to do a little promo drop that we do teach educators how to open your own education-based business. So be sure to go to refounded.ca. So refounded.ca. And we can help guide you through the process because, everyone is going to be challenged in the next while to, you know, branch out in some way. Even a lot of new teachers in today's economy, a new teacher, they make 55K. EAs and CYWs, talking about anywhere between 30 and 50K.
Yeah, they need to supplement their income.
Yeah.
Not need to, but I mean, in terms of the what you can afford and the cost of living, many, many, many work second and third jobs, or they do the gig economy and they can offer their services what they are really strong in terms of helping others in the field. So why not? If you can get paid and you are amazing at creating resources, why not sell it? I used to give mine away for free all the time to colleagues and division people. And then you'd see somebody else like in the same school board using your stuff, and you did not give it to them. So why not sell it? It makes sense. And really, in terms of education, a lot of teachers will pay for resources to be done for them. So it makes sense for everyone to kind of branch out into what they really love to do, and it offers them that freedom. In terms of what our children are going to look like, maybe you could speak to that in terms of 10 years from now, we really do need to teach more skills towards the gig economy.
Yes. So financial literacy is number one. The ability to be flexible, to find creative solutions. A lot of people get stuck like, oh no, the world's going to end. It's never going to end. You just have to, there will be a decline in certain areas because there is going to be some progression in tech that we cannot stop. But new opportunities will arise and we can teach them how to navigate things in their best interest. And when they have the business skills and when they have skills around building assets, like looking at all I learned through high school, and I'm thinking, what a waste of my time. If
Oh
we
my goodness, right?
if we took some of these higher education concepts and applied them to younger kids, they would be further ahead. Like how to, if they're creative type, how to draft a contract, a basic contract, um, to do a custom project for someone. Or,
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be, and you can utilize AI. Like someone in like a senior, like grade 7, 8, high school could easily do this. Obviously not to the level of like an adult lawyer, but these are like small skills that you can start adopting, like the financial, how to calculate tax or how to do a budget.
I
Um,
think financial literacy is a huge, huge piece. And in several countries, I, the tax laws are so complex that I think they make it that way so it becomes really tricky to be able to navigate. However, if we're teaching kids about this from an early age and they can just build on it year after year, they'll be experts at certain things, right? And I think financial literacy is a huge one. Taxes, investing.
oh, definitely, because if you're learning from a CPA, they might be doing your taxes for you and they might know, keep updated with all the changes, and it's an industry, it's a thing to keep up with, right? Just like education, it's ever
Yeah,
evolving and changing. But if you're learning how to keep a budget, or if they teach you certain skills to avoid paying, excessive taxes in different ways, you can still learn those concepts even, or, identify. I used to have a lot of sports teens in sports, and they were really great at their sport. But they weren't always great academically. And I used to position it from the perspective of, what if your accountant, I'm like, you make it pro, your accountant is ripping you off. They are giving you a bad contract. How do you know? Like, you need to have some baseline foundational knowledge so that you don't get ripped off. And we don't teach kids that, or, creative ways to finance property, or like the list is endless, but we need to do better. And gig economy, we can create digital resources or communities where parents can come and access at a smaller price point and learn some of those foundational skills from people who do it on a regular basis.
absolutely. I think you bring up a really good point too, in terms of like CPAs or educators or anyone in their own field that keeps up to date with everything. It really is a full-time job to read and know the legalities and the laws and the ins and outs of everything and new regulations that come down the pipe. So really, when people are paying for somebody's expertise, whether it's their coaching or I mean, like accounting or um, they're paying for the knowledge and the experience and the education that that person has. So I think the gig economy allows people to really excel in the areas that they are completely passionate and knowledgeable about. And in terms of being able to hire people in the gig economy, you have the flexibility to hire somebody at your price point. Like I know you and I always giggle that it would be amazing to be able to afford to have your own app one day because the alternative education is just expanding everywhere, right?
Mhm.
However, it's interesting when you can hire different professionals that can help you out, right? And you can help them out when you're at that pay grade as well. So with the gig economy, I think it allows people to be able to tailor an experience into what they can afford and find the professionals that really stand out to them and that they click with best.
For sure. And I like that you brought up the price point, because um, there are families that have sold their home, moved back in with their parents to pay for alternative education for their kids, who have made ultimate sacrifices to,
Mhm.
homeschool, or to, and the sacrifice is really large. So even if you don't have a lot to invest right away, there are smaller ways that you can put in the work. And life is almost like a video game sometimes. As you work up to the different levels, new resources and opportunities start to become unlocked. So, like for kids, for example, your financial literacy, it's very more on the basic level, like 1 + 1, 2 + 2. You have 10 apples, you sell them for, so really basic. But then as you progress, the concepts become um, then you can hire people at a higher price bracket or get resources at a higher price bracket, but you can work up towards those higher priced items as you progress through your passions. And you're going to connect with mentors, and they will also direct you where you should go. So say you're very passionate about your kid is really passionate about, money. They want to learn about uh, small business and properties. And then as they meet people, those people will introduce them to other people in books who will introduce them to other people. And things will just naturally snowball. So even if you don't have the answers right away, you don't have to. Simplify it by starting in one basic small space. And yeah, it could be as easy as like an app. So for example, like financial literacy, there's like MIDO, DOH, or, just something basic to help them manage. And then you can, do a budget sheet, or which you can buy lessons about a budget sheet. Like there's so many smaller scale things that you can do that don't require the investment of a mentor yet, and then
Mhm.
work up towards it at a later date. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. I think that like, it's great that we can look to those who are more experienced in certain areas to help us out, right? Like, I don't know much about Bitcoin, and look at how it's taken off in the last few weeks since the US election. So I would like personally love kids who are interested in that to research and find somebody who's really passionate about it and who knows about it and who isn't going to like obviously scam you, but it like empowers kids to be able to do their own research when they are interested in things. And I think the financial literacy piece is huge. And honestly, I think gig economy too. This is one area that we've kind of overlooked. It can include the artists too, right? In terms of actual art that they are painting or molding or sculpting. It could include musicians. It can include a lot of different people who have different creative outlets who want to monetize that as well. Not monetize in a way of like, taking advantage of anything. It's just if you're passionate about it and this is something that you like to do anyway on weeknights and weekends, why not have the knowledge on how to um, get hired for different jobs to be able to do that? So, and I won't say jobs, I'll say gigs because I think we think of jobs as like the paid by the hour type things, and this is more on a path to freedom.
Ooh, I like that. I have a story actually about I had a teenage girl. I used to do a lot of counseling in high schools. I had this teenage girl. She was very like pinup kind of vibe. She was wanted to be a tattoo artist. She was like very eclectic personality type. She had a really cool look and, with the curl hair, and
Hmm.
she was an awesome personality. She went into the guidance counselor and she was like, I want to be a tattoo artist. And the guidance counselor was pretty much university,
Yeah. Oh,
and teacher, doctor, lawyer. And she came out, I'm not going to make anything of myself. And I told her, I said, look, Kat Von D is doing pretty fantastic. So let's figure it out. And so I sat her down. I'm like, okay, you're going to need two major skills, business, that includes money, and you're
mhm.
going to need to do art. And you're going to need to learn how to do contracts on a basic level, or at least understand them. And so I explained to her, like, you need a mentor and they will connect you to the right people so that you can excel. So then I had her
Absolutely.
create a list of all the people that she was inspired by on social media and that were in her area, that where she could travel to. And I told her, create that list and then work down your list of most favorite to least, and go in and offer to sweep the floors, tell them that you're looking for a mentor, get started. I'm like, people, older people, like adults love when young people are motivated to do something. Um, and she got her mentorship and everything, and she
Oh,
was,
that's amazing.
yeah, it's one of those things they don't need a lot. They just need hope and, some kind of opportunity. And I hope she's doing well now.
Oh, that's amazing. And you know what? You bring up a really good point too, is that they can change. So, oh my goodness, if somebody's interested in something in high school, I don't know why guidance counselors continue to crush their dreams into thinking they have to go to college or university. I know you and I have had this conversation many times, and I think we brought it up here on our podcast, but I think colleges and universities are really, really shifting the focus right now of possible attendees to looking for other things. I don't know if kids are now seeing the benefit of paying over $100,000 for a degree that gets you a minimum wage job, right? Like we've talked before about how oftentimes you have to have certification and additional degrees. And if somebody's really passionate about art and they want to be a tattoo artist and they know that, then give them the business wherewithal that they need to be able to like expand in that area and try it out. It doesn't have to be forever. They could do it for 5 years or 7 or 2. It doesn't have to be a forever thing, but just being able to explore your passions and your interests, I think, in terms of general levels of happiness, most adults would be so much happier being able to do what they want to do.
Yes. Um, there's actually, I don't know, I had some friends in HR, and there was like a study where people change their profession like 5 to 7 times in their lifetime.
Hmm.
When I shared that with kids, I'm like, yeah, your career isn't a life sentence. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, you can do something and then have a side something. Like you can do what you want. Like there really are no rules. And even if you found failure in high school, you can apply as a mature student if you did do find some kind of return on investment in higher education to some degree, because learning in itself isn't bad. There's so much value, like you should learn. And sometimes it gives more structure to people who need it, and that's okay. But you do have to think like, where is this going? If you are in a business course and the person has never owned a business, then maybe you would be better off, looking for alternative options. And for the educators that are going to start embracing it, and you will, whether you want to or not, because no offense, but the overhead expenses of multiple boards, once they amalgamate, it's not going to make sense anymore. They will amalgamate. Middle management will probably be impacted the most. And a lot of industries are actually facing reductions in middle management. And yeah, so the whole landscape is going to change. So you guys have to you guys have to adapt, adults. And on the other hand, kids are watching you, and teenagers, the next generation, they are going to watch your response to this kind of tough shift. And we want to leave a positive impact that when life gave us lemons, made lemons.
Definitely. I love that you brought up adaptability and flexibility, right? Those who can adapt well prove to be um, happier than those who can't, right? I think when we are in a mindset, oh, it goes back to, I didn't mean to incorporate this, right? It goes back to like the fixed mindset or the growth mindset. If you have a growth mindset, you are always looking for those areas that you can expand into and that you're more adaptable and you find the areas of growth in any situation that you can ascend your skills or increase your skills as opposed to stay stuck in things that you really aren't happy with. And as you're talking about that as well, regardless of how the landscape is going to look in education with jobs in the future, I think there are a lot of professionals in the field right now, including EAs and ECEs and teachers, a ton of teachers. They're I've been chatting with them for 2 years. They're still working in the school board, but they hate it. There's nothing being done about the violence in the schools. They actually do really love teaching and love the students, but they don't love the bureaucracy of the changing curriculum all the time. So the curriculum that changes, they have to create their own resources for. Why not sell it? So they're all planning their exit strategy right now. I know administrators that are too. I have principals that I chat with all the time that have great, fabulous ideas of expanding into alternative education outside of like the government run school board because they know the shift is taking place and they want to be prepared.
And they should. They're part of frontline. Administrators have their value. I'm not going to lie. Like it's hard to, as a startup, yes, you are the caretaker, the principal, the teacher, and everything in between sometimes. But you do need sometimes some administrative support that is focused on, the administration side of things. Or like there's always value in a lot of the they're still part of the front line. And anybody that's there being present with the kids you are more essential than you realize. It's not walking away from your teaching job to be in a smaller, happier environment. Um, have more faith in yourself. Teachers have to have more faith in themselves. It's actually terrible. They talk about kids, being more confident or just trying or you can't. It's funny because if you give a kid a blank page, they're just like, what do I do? I used to tell kids like scribble on it. They're like, what do you mean scribble on it? I'm like, scribble on it. Just to like break that, like you said, like that fixed mindset of, do a scribble. Okay, now make a picture out of that scribble. It's teachers have to be the same way. They're very OCD, a lot of them.
I think you bring up a really good point is that if you're being taught by people who don't want to branch out, but you want to branch out as a student, then you need to find those people that are really passionate and supportive and would also advocate for you to go into areas that you really care about. So, absolutely. Those are always the best teachers, right? The ones that make a student feel like they can go into any area and they will be successful. And the skills that you mentioned, like financial literacy, any kind of legal aspects like contracts and knowing how to run a business, like the entrepreneurship skills, those are going to be so valuable no matter who is learning them. And I think that's a really huge piece that we need to focus on moving forward.
Oh, for sure. And as we move forward, it is going to be messy. It's going to be messy getting out of this. I'm on so many levels. Everyone has to work on their mental health, adults and children alike. They have to heal and recuperate from the disaster that has been and rebuild trust and connection. And that's going to take time. So all of those people that think, oh, we're going to get rid of all these behavioral needs and just throw money at it. And no, it doesn't matter how many millions of dollars. If you don't have qualified staff that can handle it it's not going to work out. It's going to take time to heal all of this. It's going to take time to get the training. It's going to take time for people to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
I
And
think too, like this is a really helpful discussion for any parents who are listening to think of ideas outside of the box for their kids as well. So just even advocating for them to go into entrepreneurship, I think is a huge thing, and just being supportive of kids who want to try that moving forward, because that is going to be like the shift, right? The mindset shift of like, you can control your own path, which is really cool. And you can go into areas that you're really passionate and you care a lot about, and you can share that knowledge with other people, which is huge instead of just working for someone else. Work for yourself, which is, I think we're seeing the benefits are now. And those who were really passionate and placed priority on that did the best during the past 4 years. Those who worked for themselves and were flexible and adaptable and could see the changes that they needed to make and had the background knowledge of what to do in terms of taxes and financial responsibilities and investing. And I mean, we haven't even talked about real estate. That could be a huge one as well. I think it's really awesome that kids are becoming more interested in subjects outside of the box.
Oh, for sure. I saw these kids that ran an Airbnb.
I
Um,
saw that too. That was awesome.
it's so cute. But you can't underestimate kids. And remember, even if you're starting low budget, just go on online, look up how to start a business. Even if you as a parent have never done it, you're embracing homeschooling for the first time, take the pressure off, do a project like that,
Hmm.
basic as like how to open a lemonade stand. Classical learner, I know he has really great resources too.
Hmm.
And of course, like Andrea, Bloom at Home Learning, reach out to her if you need like some resource options. Um, she knows a lot of people, and of course, check her site. There's so many. But let's narrow it down because it is a lot. Just Google it or connect with us, and we can guide you to the next step. Um,
Yeah, I think the main point is this is the direction society is heading, right? And everyone who reads the news right now knows we are heading towards that gig economy. There are less likely going to be corporations and companies that want to pay for office buildings and pensions and benefits and all the work. So if you know it's heading this way, then why not equip your kids with the best portfolio that they can come up with and know how to create social media sites to draw attention and just know the ins and outs of ways of developing their own businesses and like changing as they see the need. So I think that's going to be awesome to see in the future. And I loved our chat today, Jeanette.
yeah, it was really great. And I just thought trades are also actually a gig economy. You
Absolutely,
can
they
go
are.
from
And
project
it's
to
a very
project.
lucrative one, right?
Mhm.
The people who are very skilled, if you know a skilled carpenter, they are busy all the time, all the time. Even just handyman, like and I won't say man, like handy people who can go in and fix things are in demand, right? And especially with our aging population, those are jobs that people will pay to do. So it really is creates a lot of awesome opportunities for kids who are interested in different areas of learning, as opposed to like, the math, science, and English part of it. You can go into other things as well and totally be successful and happy and flexible and have time freedom.
Love it. All right. Well, thank you again for a wonderful discussion, Andrea. It is always a pleasure.
Thanks, Jeanette. And thank you everyone for listening to Limitless edX. And we have some awesome topics coming up next in the next couple weeks. So we can't wait to share those with you as we move forward. Thank you.
Definitely. And we'll have some new guest speakers as well. Have a great day.